Alrighty, guys, welcome to Talkin Ball with Scotty and Sergio. Sergio, how are we doing, brother? Long time no chat.
I'm great, man. Great, in the new year, trying to achieve a beard, but I can't seem to get as far as you.
I'll tell you the secret: go bald, mate. Then it only seems to grow from the eyebrows down. That's it. There's nothing up here. Smooth as a baby's bar, smooth as a baby's ass, baby. But thanks, guys, for joining us. I know it's been a while since we've done a podcast. We've both taken a little bit of time off. Serge has been moving. Both had a bit of stuff happening in our lives around New Year's, but we also got a chance to sit down and listen to the pods and realize that they were way too long, way too much information. We want to have some fun, talk some shit, talk about the basketball. But first, hope everyone that's listening is safe. No, COVID is starting to take over the world again. It's not looking good in Europe, the UK, the States, and it's already starting to affect the NBA. So, Serge, that's the first thing I want to talk about. Just run through a couple of things of the last week. Today, we had the Mavs and Pelicans games got postponed because of COVID. The Bulls and Boston game tomorrow is getting postponed because there's not enough players. Seth Curry recorded a positive test while he was sitting on the bench during a game. The 76ers had 7 guys out, had to play a bunch of rookies one of their games the other day, actually played pretty well against Denver. 3 of the Mavs players, 2 of them are starters. They're all in isolation in Denver. They're not allowed to leave yet. Tatum's in a 14-day quarantine. Maxi Kleber for the Mavericks. I had a great game the other day. He's in quarantine and they had to close the Mavs practice facility. Serge, COVID is here and it's starting to play havoc on the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA said that they weren't going to jump the line, and it's very honorable, but I don't know what's going on. Maybe vaccines have been so slow in the U.S. Basically, we had 20 million shipped, I think, initially, and only 6 million people vaccinated. So the whole system has been very slow, and until we get players vaccinated, we're going to go through these issues, just as the NFL went through and getting games canceled. And the NFL made it through the season, which is good, and hopefully the NBA can do the same. What I don't understand is how it's working with certain players getting quarantined for longer periods than others. I'm not sure how that works. Like, why is he getting 14 days?
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Every time I seem to hear a player has to isolate and he has to leave the team, he's playing basketball against another 10 guys on a different team and his teammates. I know that they're not standing next to each other and touching each other the whole time, but it's a physical sport, basketball. These guys are touching. There's sweat, there's spit out there. I don't understand how one guy okay, you have to go sit out for 2 weeks, but the guys you played against and you bumped against when you're going for rebounds and defended makes no sense.
Makes no sense. And also, if you're looking at, and I think it's more of a visual thing that the NBA, the players on the bench are all masked, and then when you go sit on the bench, everyone sitting next to you might be masked. It's just, I don't know. They're all together. They're all getting tested, right, on a daily basis, pretty much. Yeah. It's kind of odd.
But I think we've had some coaches as well who have got fined for keep repeatedly taking off their mask because obviously their instructions aren't getting through their team. They can't hear them. But, yeah, it's been a super weird start to the season in terms of this COVID. No one really knows what's going on. Hopefully play doesn't get stopped. We'll have a chat a bit more about that tomorrow on the next podcast, Serge. What if it does get worse? Because there's only 17 guys in a team. Do they expand the rosters, bring some of these G League guys up? They definitely don't want to go to a bubble, but that's something else we can talk about tomorrow. But moving on, Serge, again, every NBA season, a lot of injuries. You hate to see it. Markelle Fultz has gone down with an ACL. He's done for the season. Thomas Bryant, the center for the Washington Wizards, they weren't doing great anyway, but he's gone down with an ACL and he's done for the season. And Bogdan Bogdanovic hadn't played a lot yet for the Hawks, but he has a knee fracture and he's out indefinitely. It seems a lot of the young guys are getting injured, Serge.
Yeah, it seems like I was talking to a physical trainer yesterday about this, how everyone is tearing their ACLs these days. And it's not an injury that was as common back in, like, let's say the 80s or 70s in the NBA. And what he was explaining to me is that you see these ACL tears more often because the players are just stronger and doing more weights.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the NBA, there was this kind of preconceived idea that you shouldn't lift too much weights because, especially with your upper body, it was gonna like ruin your form, your shot. You know, like if you have a look at like Larry Bird's body, yeah, he's a slim guy, but not really like bulgy muscles or anything, and just a smooth stroke. So that was that concept. And he says now, like there's such like a huge physical preparation before the season, during the season, that players are putting a lot of stress on their bodies, their tendons, and that's why you're seeing more of these ACL tears. With Markelle Fultz, really sad. He was having such a good season, and for him, coming from a few tough seasons, it's tough to see him get this injury.
Yeah, I feel bad for Orlando as well. It seemed like the offense wasn't great. They were defending as usual, as hard as they could, and he was really opening up for his teammates. Like his penetration to the basket, he finished with both hands. He was a good passer. His shot was still a work in progress, but Markelle Fultz was really taking that step forward that everyone was hoping that he would take. And unfortunately, that's him done for the season. Same as Thomas Bryant. Obviously, the Wizards are having some struggles, but he was actually looking really good. He was one of the more consistent players, apart from Beal and Westbrook. And, sad to see him go. He's a big part. They're going to have to start Robin Lopez now at center.
Yeah, definitely going to get more minutes for Lopez. It's on a positive note, as more people are getting ACL tears, but the treatment for ACL is getting better and better. So you see players like Zach LaVine come back, 100%, still as athletic as before. So fingers crossed that the same is going to happen for these guys.
Yeah, and Bogdan Bogdanovic, hopefully he'll be back soon. The Hawks have been really struggling recently after starting 4-1. They went 0-4 until today when they took on the shorthanded Sixers and they smoked them by 18 points. But yeah, they need another ball handler. They're struggling there because Rajon Rondo's injured, Bogdanovic is injured, Gallinari's been injured, and he opened stuff up with his shooting. Talking about that, we had a few games today. I was looking at my phone. The Wizards smashed the Suns with no Westbrook, which is a bit weird when you think about that because they've struggled with Westbrook. And there's one, the Magic got a few tough games coming up. They got smoked by the Bucks today by 23. The Cavs, without the Sexland duo in the backcourt, got beaten by the Grizzlies.
Going back to the Wizards, Beal's been an absolute beast the last 5 games or so.
Yeah, oh my! And they're struggling to win games when he's scoring 30, 40, 50s, and 60s. The big game today was the Portland Trailblazers and Raptors. I hadn't checked on this game since the third quarter. Raptors are up by, I think, 18. The Raptors just lost by 1 in Portland. So they lost by 11 in the last quarter. Pascal Siakam had a triple-double, but wasn't enough, man. Something's going on in Toronto. That's actually one of the next few questions we'll talk about, Serge. But moving on from the injuries, let's have a chat about a few of the teams. Let's compare a couple of teams. We've got Wizards and Rockets. Who sucks more?
Unfortunately, the Wizards do, I think. Yeah. The Rockets are just a bit of a mess at the moment, but I think when they get it together, the Rockets are going to be stronger. Especially, who knows how long Harden's going to be around.
Yeah, that's another question for a different day. That's been a crazy one there. Let me pose this to you. Whose Kool-Aid are you drinking? The Hornets, the Knicks, or the Cavs after 10 games?
I'm all over LaMelo. I'm going with the Hornets, and I love Terry Rozier. I think Gordon Hayward's been playing amazing as well. So I'm on board with the Hornets. The Knicks, I was never a Knicks fan growing up. They were, our enemy, being a Chicago guy. But I feel bad for the Knicks, and God bless them. Like, hopefully, people are drinking their Kool-Aid. And you know what? They got Tibbs, so he's a former Chicago guy.
They're like top 10 defense at the moment. The offense has struggled a little bit, but you got Julius Randle playing point forward, and some good Mitchell Robinson's looked better this year as well. He's starting not to foul so much, and RJ Barrett's having a good. Is this his second or third season? Second season?
Second. Mm-hmm. Second. Yeah, no, they've looked great. Randall's just putting up like numbers crazy, like 30 and 12, 28 and 10, like amazing play. No, it's good to see those teams. We were bashing them in preseason.
100%. I said some shit about the Cavs. I'm not going to lie. I apologize to all the Cavs fans listening, but I've been really impressed with them, and they've struggled in the last week or two, but that's because Garland and Sexton, or Sexland as people are calling it, they've both been out. So they don't really have much backup unless you're playing Matthew Dellavedova and Dante Exum as your guards. But Andre Drummond's looks really good, and I give a lot of shit to Andre Drummond. He's a rebound hog, but he's looked really good. He's, I think, had one of the biggest usage rates, and he's been nearly the best defender in the league this year.
He's been amazing. And he was talking himself up before the season started, saying that he wanted to be a defensive player of the year and all this jazz, but he's putting his actions where his mouth was.
I was going to include Orlando in this conversation, but obviously with the Markelle Fultz injury now, I just think their season is slowly going to start going downhill. I was actually listening to a Locked On Mavericks podcast yesterday. They had the guy from Locked On Magic on, and he's just hoping they start to tank. There's a few really good guys now. Sell off Vucevic, maybe Fournier and Gordon, and let these guys, young guys, grow organically. Might be the best option for Magic now, to be honest. Yeah. No one likes the word tank.
Yeah, Gordon's raising his price on his own. I think he dropped 50, right?
Who, sorry? Gordon Hayward?
Gordon.
Aaron Gordon? Yeah. Sorry, we're talking about the Magic. Talking about the Hornets again, Lamelo's been unbelievable, but Gordon Hayward is balling right now.
As he should be. I said it earlier in one of our pods. He needs to be the go-to guy, averaging close to 30. That team needs those points.
Yeah, 100%. And they've got Devontae Graham, obviously hasn't had the greatest season, but Terry Rozier stepped up. Lamelo looks amazing. Miles Bridges looks fantastic as well. He's really taken a few leaps and bounds in his game.
Yeah, and it's been really a positive thing to see Terry Rozier get along with LaMelo. He's kind of taken him under his wing. They have really good camaraderie because essentially the thought was that they would be competing for the position, but it doesn't seem like an issue at the moment because LaMelo is still getting his minutes, and they started to play him side by side, which is what I was asking for because I think they can exist, you know?
Yeah, well, hopefully those teams, I think the Hornets I don't think their schedule's too bad the next week or so as well. So a few more wins for them, stay in the playoff picture. Let's get on to some of the funnies going around the league. You got to love the NBA. There's always something weird happening, especially these days with social media and Twitter. This happened about a week and a bit ago, Serge. It's Marvin Bagley. Obviously, he's been in and out of the starting lineup. He hasn't been great, to be honest, in his first couple of years in the league. But his dad went on Twitter the other day and said, trade my son. Which led to De'Aaron Fox's dad said, trade him, which led to De'Aaron Fox on Twitter going, Jesus Christ, like what is going on right now? And Luke Walton's having to answer these questions about dads and trades and, oh, man.
You know whose fault this really is?
Who?
LeVar. LeVar started this. You know, being vocal, telling coaches they're not playing his son enough and all this, messing up, you know, Lonzo's start to the NBA with his shoe deal, with the team, with talking trash, that he's better than Steph Curry. So, yeah, now you got these guys going at it again, or going at it just like LeVar. And, I mean, when you got Fox's dad saying traded, you know, and De'Aaron Fox, he's like, what did I do? I'm just trying to play ball here.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hoping to get a little bit more out of him, obviously. Marvin Bagley. They've been looking all right, Sacramento, to start the season. But, man, he promised to be that kind of 2010 monster that we thought he was going to be. And now it just looks bad because Vlade Divac's not there anymore. And he had a chance to sign Luka Doncic and didn't. And, the Kings, it's a bit of a soap opera at the Kings. They've struggled for so long now.
Probably in the future, that'll be like the typical, like he'll be remembered for that, like the guy who didn't sign Luka.
Yeah. And think about this, since maybe the mid-2000s, they've been the laughing stock of all the California teams. And the Clippers were pretty shit for a lot of that period as well.
Yeah. Until the Clippers got sold and they got bought by Steve Ballmer. Yeah.
Even before that, they had CP3, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. The only person I can really remember before that was Corey Maggette. A bit of Corey Maggette used to light it up for the Clippers. The great free throw shooter, Corey Maggette.
Yeah, they've only had a few players. I mean, I'm trying to think back to
Richardson.
No, even there was another star there. Oh, well, it'll come to me. It'll come to me.
That's how long it's been since they've. That's how long
I'm
it
like
was.
probably like came into the league before Jordan. What was his name? Sean something. Well, anyways, yeah, but Sacramento has a lot to grow, and I don't know. They're gonna have their two stars already having issues because that whatever the dads are saying that everyone says the dad has the opinion, but the dad's repeating stuff that the son's saying.
Yeah,
So
clearly.
Smell it out that these two players are probably not getting along or just don't see eye to eye on the floor, and that's a massive issue. And we know what's going to happen. I mean, Bagley's
Always
going to
happens. What's his trade value? Marvin Bagley's got weird trade value, though. I wonder who would go after him, but maybe that's a different question for another time. But yeah, he hasn't done enough yet to really be warranting like a really good player coming back unless you're going to take a chance on him. Serge, Boogie Cousins is back. We know that he's back with he's actually at the Houston Rockets. He's on just a small 1-year contract proving himself. He hasn't looked too bad actually playing, but Boogie is back when in the space of a week he got ejected twice. One against Dallas, I believe it was, because he just kept, Boogie, when he argues, he throws his hands. He looks like a big baby. He just starts screaming, and he did it a couple times and got kicked out of the game. And then against the Lakers, he got one technical foul, and then he took a swat at LeBron. Whether he contacted LeBron or not, there's a bit of a soccer. I think LeBron's been hanging out with Neymar a little bit. And then Marcus Morris tried to push him, and he fell over trying to push Boogie pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Boogie's back with a vengeance. Not so much in the scores box or any of the stat box, but he's back to his old habits. You can't blame a guy for taking a hard swat at LeBron. But yeah, as you said, I don't know if he hit him that much. LeBron's a great actor. I mean, he's been in a few movies too, so he's kind of proven it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hope he gets it together. I hope he gets some rhythm going because I think the combo of him with Wall, he used to play back in the day in Kentucky. They know each other's game, and if he can come around and find some structure. But the thing with Boogie is that Boogie's a guy that needs to be under a strong coach. He needs to be under a guy who cut it out. Like stop with this stuff because what kind of a professional gets ejected twice in a week?
100%. And he's got a really good opportunity to come off the bench for Houston and kind of get the ball as much as he likes playing with the second unit. Saying that, he needs a good coach. I'd love to see someone like Boogie in San Antonio. They're really lacking star power in the front court. Maybe a LaMarcus Aldridge trade or something like that to Houston, and then give him just sit him down and goes, this is what I want from you. And if you keep playing this way, you'll be like our starting center. And look how many good guards the Spurs have. Actually, that's a random. We'll have a chat about them next pod, but the Spurs have been surprising this year.
I don't think they don't ever surprise me. I mean, we were both saying that we were both saying before the season started that, yeah, their team didn't look great and all this jazz, but just Popovich,
He's
Popovich.
He's the man. He's the absolute man. Serge, these podcasts, like I said earlier, guys, I know the last podcast we were doing were running for like an hour, 15 minutes. We're going to try and make them shorter, a bit sharper. I had to share this with you. So I love my NBA. I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook that chat about NBA debate groups, memes, all this stuff. But someone posted this the other day, and I swear to God, I don't think I've laughed so hard in my life. So some guy posted a picture. I'm assuming this is probably 1991, something like that. So it's Dennis Rodman playing for the Bad Boy Pistons and Michael Jordan playing for the Bulls. And they're kind of face-to-face and body-to-body. Dennis Rodman likes to get in people's grills. But this is what some guy wrote above this picture. That's what I like about Jordan and Rodman. Rodman put his dick against Jordan's dick and didn't care. Jordan realized Rodman was doing this to bother him, and he wanted to show Rodman that he wasn't unbothered by rubbing his dick on him back. They didn't have a choice but to smile at each other because real recognized real that night. 100, bicep. And then, better, the guy who posted this said, some dude really posted this in here at 3 a.m. last night. Let's have a moment of silence for his freaky ass.
I mean, I want to know what that dude was doing at 3 a.m. to start with. second, I just want to have like an image of like what kind of what does he look like, and was he like? And the best thing would be like if his preference isn't perhaps penis, but he's just throwing out that that's kind of like a tough thing to be penis to penis. I'm just not gauging where he was going with that.
This guy just, I think, had a few too many drinks or maybe a few too many hits of the bong, and he's looked and goes, you know what, tonight I'm going to look for some dick-to-dick combat, and Jordan will be in here and Rodman, and couldn't get a better dick-to-dick combat than those two guys.
I love that. We got to make some T-shirts with that, like dick-to-dick, and be like the good old 80s, dick-to-dick era.
Yeah, exactly. They're pussies these days. Not enough dick-to-dick. Serge, that's the end of this podcast. I think we got it nice and short today. Thanks for listening, guys. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Under the information, we'll put a link to our Facebook group. We're going to start posing questions as we start to do a few more podcasts, a little bit shorter, a few more times a week. Also, shout out to my mate Adam. Him and his brother have started a podcast called McFantasy. That is on Spotify. They're really good. They love their basketball, talking about anything fantasy. Give them a listen, guys. But thank you, Serge. We'll see you guys next time. You guys have a great afternoon. Enjoy the basketball. Hopefully not too many postponed games. Sergio.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.